Hi guys, very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the video number 254, and in this video we are going to learn that how to create the charts using the VBA. This is going to be the part 1, and my name is Ajay, and I run this channel, and the ASP of this channel is actually, it has the videos on the Excel, it has the videos on the Excel VBA, MS Access and MS Access VBA. If you're watching the channel for the first time, then please go ahead and watch, click on the playlist, and you would find all the different kind of the categories here, starting from the basic videos covering the intermediate level and the advanced level as well, right? So the channel has a mixture of all the videos. If you're a beginner, definitely go ahead and watch these videos, Excel VBA introduction series, and similarly, I mean, whatever basically the playlist you would like to watch according to the, you can see here there's different subject lines, you would get the basic videos as well as the advanced videos, right? So welcome to the channel, and today actually I'm going to I thought of this, starting this series on the charts is actually because of the reason that I got a comment from Ruchika, one of my subscribers, that hi Ajay, please let me know if you could take out some time to upload the videos to create the charts and then corresponding drop down menu using VBA so as to make it an automated task every month than doing all of it manually. Okay, so basically I have started this series. I mean, it is going to be a very basic video, so definitely we are not going to actually make the drop downs, but I'm going to tell you actually how you can create the charts. This is going to be the part 1, the series 1, in this in an attempt to make you awesome in the charts and to give you a very much good understanding that how you actually work with the charts when you write the VBA codes. So let us go ahead guys, and let me just prepare some data here. I'm just going to write here some months: Jan, Feb, March, April, and let's say April, May, and June, and July, and so on, right? And let's say we have some, maybe a business happened here in these months, so I'm just going to write here some numbers here. Right now, if you don't have any idea about the charts, you can do one thing guys. You can go ahead and watch the playlist. Its title is Excel Charts and Pivots, right? It has nothing to do with the VBA. There we have simply talked about the charts, right? How you make the charts basically, and I have really explained a lot of things in those 2 videos, right? So I can show you, I guess let me just show you where is the playlist. Yeah, so in this playlist you need to find it out where we have that Excel charts and the pivots. Let me just scroll it down. Excel VLOOKUP. Yeah, this is the Excel VBA charts and pivots. So this is something which talks about the VBA only. So let me scroll it down, and yeah, that's it. So you can see that you have the 13 videos here, very good videos. It's a mixture of basic and intermediate and advanced videos, right? Especially these amazing drop down charts, and all the things you can see here, the classic waterfall charts. They are very extremely advanced videos. So if you don't have any idea about the charts, just go ahead and watch these 2 videos, 244 and 245, right? You can see the part 1, part 2, right? This will give you the good idea. Okay, so let's come back to the VBA. Now what happens, how you actually define, how you create the chart. Now suppose this is your dummy database. I have just prepared this database, right? And through using this database, actually we want to create the charts. This is my task. So let's go to the developer tab and let's hit on the Visual Basic. I'm going to click on the insert module, and let's say we're going to write that chart creation. Now please understand that when you work on the charts, you work with the chart class, right? So the first thing which you need to do is you declare any variable. Let's say I declare my variable as my chart and give it a class called chart. Okay, then my chart has chart, right? Now the next thing which you want to do is you need to set up this chart. You need to define this chart. Okay, so we use the set word because it's an object actually, and then you say that your chart is going to be equals to charts dot add, and this is how you write, right? So this step, if you run, you will get the chart inserted. Let me show you. Let me just close this and reduce the width of this, and let's run this F8 mode, and there we go. You can see that the chart actually inserted, right? And the chart inserted, and this also is auto populated. It has captured the data. The reason it has captured the data because your selection was perfect, This was your selection basically. So it has captured the chart, right? Because you know what happens, I'll tell you one thing guys. Let me just delete this. It is a very important point because I don't want you to actually remember these points. You should also understand. You should be able to correlate with the Excel charts. Now what happens when I select this data, you select this, or maybe you can put your the cursor on any of the cells which is a part of your database, and you go to the insert and you hit on this chart. Let me hit on this chart. Let's say this is the chart we want to create. You see that the chart automatically gets created, right? Now how this is happening, let me delete the chart. Now I'm going to keep my selection a blank, okay? And now let's go ahead and insert the chart. Let's see what is going to happen. You see that this is the difference. So what happens when you put your cursor somewhere outside the cell and you create the chart, it comes out as a blank because there is no data. But if you have selected any cell, or maybe if you have selected the range, the VBA, this VBA or maybe Excel, it applies to both. The intelligence is so strong that it just immediately captures the data. I have talked about this in those basic 1 and basic 2 videos also, but just wanted to give you a little bit idea about it, that how the chart got created. And by the way, if you don't know, now if I press here F11, you see that a sheet inserted and a chart gets created. So this is exactly the same thing which you would see when you run this code, set my chart equals to charts.add, right? So if you never knew about this option, then this is a new shortcut key for you, right, which is called the F11, right? F11 is a shortcut key which if you press and your cell is on any of the the database, like if you have multiple data, and so wherever your selection would be on any of those data points. Right now we just have a one database, so I just keep my cursor here and I press F11. You see that immediately the chart will be created, but yes, the chart will be created on the different sheet. That's the difference. Okay, so the same thing in the VBA also happens. When I'm going to run this code, F8, you see that the chart gets created. Right now let's do one thing. I'm going to delete this chart and let me put the cursor here. Okay, that's a blank cell completely, that. So let's just run this. All right, there we go. So now I hope you understand this is a blank chart, right? Because your cursor was not on the database, was not on the table actually. Okay, so in Excel and in VBA the chart works the same way. It's just that in the VBA you program the things, right? And also for the fact that the VBA is so powerful, it can automate your work and it can reduce the amount of the the total time you're spending on any of the tasks which you're doing, and at the same time it brings accuracy as well. I think this is really super cool. That's why people learn the Excel VBA. So now we have created the chart. What is the next thing you want to do? Now if you remember, the chart was inserted in a new sheet. And if it is inserted in a new sheet, I would like to move it to the current sheet, or maybe you can move it to another new sheet as well. Choice is yours, but we would like to move the chart here in this sheet. So for that I'm going to write the code, but before we do that, one thing more we want to tell, that what is the source of the data, because who knows, when you run this macro, maybe your user has selected any blank cell, and obviously you will never like to create the blank cell. Right, so in the VBA itself we are going to write that which data your chart is supposed to capture. So we will write my chart dot set source data. Okay, this is the method you use. When you press space, this is what you get, source as a range. What is your source as a range? So my source is, it's very simple, it's sheet 2, which is the name of my sheet. You can see that this is sheet 2. And you will write your name, whatever the sheet you have, and then the range, and we're going to use the A1 to B8. That's it. I don't need the second parameter, so this is fine. Okay, all right, now what is the next thing I want to do? The next thing I want to do is we are going to move the chart, because the chart will be inserted on the new sheet. So then you will again write my chart dot location. Okay, and then space. So I want to keep it as an object, Excel location as object. I don't want to use any other options. And the name, so this chart, the location of this chart is going to be on the sheet 2. So you're just going to write the sheet 2 name and put it within the quotes. Right, now let us run this and let's see what exactly is going to happen. Okay, so there we go. Now you see that the blank chart is inserted in the background and there is a sheet name also, chart 7. Now next time I'm going to run it, you see that now the chart has got the data. This is wonderful, right? I can minimize it, I can show you. Look at this. The chart, the moment you ran this line set source data, the chart captured the data and it is now, all the months actually appeared with the data points. Wonderful. Okay, what is the next thing? Now I want to move this chart obviously, and I want to move this chart to the sheet 2, right? So I hit again F8, and now look at this, guys. The sheet is deleted, the chart 7 sheet is deleted, and you have your chart over here. So this is the very basic step of the chart, right? But then we would like to do a lot of things in this chart. For example, I don't want to keep this legend, I want to remove this. I don't want to keep these grid lines, and maybe I want to, let's say, edit my chart. There are a number of things basically you can do, right? So to do that, you really don't have to learn the VBA. I mean, there is a trick actually. We can record the macro and we can note down all the steps, and then those steps we can actually very beautifully we can combine those steps with this VBA, which we have written without taking the help of the macro editor. So this is the same thing I'm going to do. Now look at this. I have created this chart. Okay, let's say this is the chart I have created, or maybe I can run it from the scratch. Let me delete it, but this time I'm going to record the macro. So let's go ahead and hit on the record macro, and this is let's keep it or maybe I can just write dummy. Okay, now insert, I hit on the chart, the chart comes, I hit on the right click, select data. If you don't know that what I'm doing, because I'm actually doing a little fast, please go ahead and watch the part 1 and the part 2. Okay, because this video is not actually about how to create the charts. This video is more on the VBA part, so I assume that you know the charts very well in the Excel. Now this is what is created. Now what all we want? Now I want to get rid of these grid lines, so I select the grid lines, I delete them. Okay, and let's say I want to the chart title, I want to edit it. For example, I want to, instead of the business, I want to write here as turnover or performance. Let's say we just want to write here performance. That's it. Okay, what else you want to do? Well, there are a lot of things. You can change the template as well from here. That's all up to you. Maybe let's go ahead and change the template. Let's say I select this kind of a template. Okay, now I created this template. I'm going to actually reduce the size of this chart. So these all steps are being recorded right now, right? You can see in the developer tab it says stop recording. So the moment I click on the stop recording, the macro will stop the recording. So I guess everything looks fine, and this is all what I wanted, let's say. Okay, so now what we need to do is we simply need to hit on this stop recording. I stop recording, and now I don't need this. Let me just delete the chart again. Okay, now let's go back to the Visual Basic window, and this is the module 2 where you can see that tons of the code, this actually is a very long code. So tons of the lines are written here, and we don't need all these lines, right? But you should understand it because they are very simple. For example, you see that this line, active chart plot area dot select, and then active chart major grid line select, and then delete. This is what exactly we did. We removed the grid lines, right? If you remember in the chart, and then we got the chart title also activated, edited, I beg your pardon. So it says that active chart title dot text equals to performance. So from here you can pick up all the points which you actually want. Now here also you can see that it says that active sheet dot shapes chart 5 increment left and increment top. This is to basically move the chart right now, because chart 5, why it is writing here chart 5, because of the simple reason that when you inserted the chart was actually titled as chart 5. For example, if I hit back here and I click one more chart again, have a look here, you see that it is chart 6. Look at this name box, right? So every chart when you create, guys, it has a name, right? So when you recorded this macro, that point in time the chart name was chart 5, and that is why this is actually created. So every time you insert the new chart, you will have a new name, and that is also something which you need to automate. Otherwise you will have a problem in your macros. For example, if I again insert the chart, let me hit on the chart. Now you see that this is a chart 7, right? So every time your VBA is going to insert a new chart, it will have a different name, especially in the Excel, right? But in the VBA, we will control that. We will name our chart, right? Because charts can also be renamed. There's no as such any hard rule that when you insert the chart, then only, you know, chart is supposed to use that title only, that name. You can edit the chart name, right? Okay, so what else we can see in this line? You can see that this is also a kind of a similar line which we have used in our module, right? If you let me just copy this line, though it is written a different way because it's a macro editor, but if I copy this line here, look at this. This also talks about the data source, and it is using the active chart dot set source data active chart because we inserted the chart and that became the active chart. But in our case, our active chart is my chart, right? So you can write here my chart dot set source data, exactly the same line, guys. You see that? So this is how you learn the things, right? Macro editors are always very powerful, and I have explained this in the VBA introduction also, how to actually use it, you know, and how to make its best use. Because some people have this thing in mind that macro editors only those people use who are not good in the programming. That's really incorrect. Macro editors you should use as much as you can, right? And that is really going to help you a lot in also using the commands which is very difficult to remember. So you can always take the help of the macro editors. Just go ahead and watch those part 1, part 2 series, and you would understand what exactly I'm saying if you're a beginner in the VBA. All right. So anyways, we created the chart. Now the next thing which I actually want to do is I want to give my chart a name, and then I'm going to use these lines. For example, we never actually wanted these grid lines, right? And so I'm just going to copy these 2 lines where I'm basically 2 things, but there are, you know, so many lines here. So I'm just going to comment them right now, and we are going to use it. Okay, we are going to, once the chart will be created, we are going to remove the grid lines and we are going to put the chart title. Before I do that, what I will do is I will simply do one thing. I will give the name to my chart, and I'm going to write here active chart dot parent and name equals to, and I'm going to give this name as, let's say, my you can give it any name actually. So let's give it a name called performance chart, or let's say I'm just going to write it data. Okay, that's it, simple, data. Okay, right. Now the next thing which I want to do is as you can see here, these are all the active charts, major grid lines. We need to delete them, so you can refer them, you know, using these lines as well. So I guess we can do one thing. I can simply remove these lines. This is going to remove everything, the grid lines I mean from my chart. And then this line is very important, guys. Active sheet chart objects, activate and select the title, and in the title you got to write this performance. So basically what happens in the chart 5, because you will not have a chart 5 there will be a new chart which will be created, and that is why you have defined it in the beginning that your chart is going to be data. So you just need to write here data in this way, right? This works. This is how it works actually. So let's go ahead and let's see that if we are able to do that or not. So I'm going to hit on the F8, and there we go. All right, so we got our chart, and I got to actually reduce the width of this so that we can see what's happening in the background. Just one second. I guess that's fine. We can see what is happening. Okay, and let me further reduce it. All right. Okay, so now you see that this chart which we have created, it is titled as chart 1. You can see in the name box. The next line should rename it as data. There we go. Now you look at this, it is renamed as data. So now my chart is going to be always referred as data. Okay, and this line now should select the major grid lines, and it has selected, you can see in the background, right? And it is going to delete, and you can see in the background. It is so simple, right? We are using this macro editor codes. Now it is going to select the data. Obviously this chart, it has selected the data, and in the title it is going to select the title. And let me have a look here in the title. You can see that the business is selected. Just let me just put it here. Okay, yeah. So title is chart title is selected, and the next thing which I want to do is I want to rename it, and there we go, guys. Very simple. So you can record all the things, and you know, you can put this in the charts in this way. But you need to understand what we did, the important part. This line is very important, because in this line it was coming as chart 5, because when you recorded the macro, the chart which was inserted at that point, you know, it was named as chart 5 by the Excel. But you are very focused because you want to create the chart with this name only. Okay, now there is one more thing which I want to tell you. This is I mean, then further you can go ahead and do a lot of other stuff. I mean, you can you know, bring the different layouts, designs and everything that you can record and put it. But the most important point is that next time if you run the macro again, let's see if it is going to create that or not. So I'm just going to actually run the macro again. So I'm going to run the macro again. There we go. The chart is added. There we go. It is moved to the sheet 2. As you can see that it is actually just superseding the, you know, the previous chart, but both the charts are there. And let me just put it here. Now you see that the chart name is again chart 1. I'm going to hit on this data, and there we go. It has removed the grid lines, everything, and the chart is done, right? So let me run this again. Third time I'm running this. Let me run this very quickly. There we go. Now you see that the things looks very nice, isn't it? The chart gets created, but it's not actually, guys. Let me show you what I mean. Let me put it here, move this chart here. Do you see the magic? It's a magic, or I would say it's a blunder actually, because 3 charts are getting created, because I ran the code 3 times. So it is going to run 3 times and it is going to create the chart with the same name, right? If I select this, you can see that whatever the chart I select, it will have the same name. So this is what exactly we want to get rid of, right? So what we want is, whenever the code runs, whenever the VBA runs, first it deletes this chart, and the name of the chart is data, and then forms the chart. So here in this line, before you declare, you just write here active sheet dot chart objects, and the chart name, you know that your chart name is data because that's what you have given. You just delete it. Okay, now let us run this code. Look at this. You will get the error, you know, the error, the item with the specified name wasn't found, and this is so correct, because the first time when you're going to run this code, obviously you will not have this chart anywhere available. So how it can delete it? The first time I'm talking about, right? So to deal with this kind of a stuff, you just need to write here on error resume next. Okay, on error resume next. What does that mean, right? That simply line means that you can go ahead and watch the videos on this error, you know, resume next, and also on we have actually a couple of videos over there. But it simply means that whatever the error comes, you just need to go to the next line. Don't stop there. Don't give any bug. Don't stop the code. And we use it when we are sure that the error would come. And in this case, we know that the first time when you're going to run this macro by using the button, you know, or whatever, I mean, you want to do that, then it will, this line will definitely generate the error. For example, now look at this. There is no error. Error came, but it is not going to, you know, stop the code because of this line. So now the next thing, you know that the chart will be created. So we have the chart gets created. Wonderful. Now the next time when you run, then this code actually is going to tell you its importance. Look at this now, guys. I'm going to run this, right? Now this time we have a data chart. You can see here the chart name. So this is going to be removed. There we go. It has removed the chart and it is going to form the chart, right? In this way. So I can hit on F5 again and again. You see, I'm running this 5 times. Okay. Does that mean that five times the chart would have been created? Let me just move this chart somewhere. You see that there is no chart behind this chart. That's the only chart. So guys, in this way you need to take care of all these things. So what we have learned here, first, that the first time when the user is going to create the chart, you know, if you're trying to delete the chart, obviously the chart will not be there. So you have to use this on error resume next line very wisely. And then the important thing is that when you use the macro editor, you can actually you can note down the lot of good codes from there. You really don't have to remember the codes. For example, this line which we have talked about, the access value major grid line select and then delete it, if you remember it, I mean, nothing like it, nothing better than that, but otherwise you can record the macro. And similarly, you can move this chart, you can shrink this, shrink this chart, and you can further go ahead and do a lot of stuff. For example, let's just go ahead and quickly and record the macro, and let me shrink the size. So I'm just going to write here dummy2. Okay, and now let me just select this, and let's say I'm just going to make this chart small in size. That's it. Okay, I stop the macro. Now let me see the code. So I go to the module 2, and there, let's say what exactly is happening. So you can see here, this is the dummy2, and let me have a look on the code. So active sheet data scale width equals to this. So I can copy this and I can paste it there, right? So I'm just going to copy this. There are many better ways of doing it, but I'm just telling you the very basic way when you really don't have so much of the understanding on the charts. But otherwise you can write all these charts yourself as well. So active sheet dot shapes, and shapes in the data, this is what I have written, right? So this way also you can actually work. So let's just run this. Let me delete this, and let's see this time if it is going to work or not. So I've just copied this, ensuring that my chart name is data, right? Because we worked on the data, that's why the macro editor was able to record this as a data. But previously, in the previous macro editor, we created the chart from the scratch, and that is why the name was chart 5. So if you're going to do that kind of a stuff, then you need to ensure that your chart 5 or chart 6, whatever it's coming, it should have the name which you have defined in the VBA. Right now I'm quite okay with that. Okay, so now what we can do is let me quickly run this code. There we go, and we have got the chart. Let me just shrink this and have a look. Yeah, so you can see that the chart is created. Okay, performance, it's coming. Now this is for the scale width. So width is going to be reduced. Yeah, there we go, guys. And then height is going to be reduced. Very simple, right? So in this way you can actually make your charts very awesome, right? So couple of things which can't be done using the macro editor. For example, your macro editor is not going to take care of this, that the chart should be deleted initially and having the name called data, whatever the name you're gonna have. And then again, this is also very important line. If you're not going to give a name, then what will happen, you will not be able to address your chart, because every time the chart gets inserted, it will have a different name. So that's why first we get the chart inserted, and then we say we're going to name this as a data, because next time when we're going to run this, first we will delete it, and to delete that we will have to refer to the chart by its name. That is why we define the name of this chart. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, guys, please do that. And I will be back with some more videos on the same series. And till then, you take care of yourself and have a very, very happy learning. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.